on network television, and there's a show Ghost on CBS that has a bigger audience than we do. It just doesn't garner the same attention. So
ABC's secret Do Not Air list just leaked, and it's shocking. For decades, they've been quietly banning episodes that networks don't want you to see. In the 1960s, they pulled a romance episode because the couple had different skin colors. In the 1980s, they banned action scenes after crew members got hurt. But 2025 is different. Now they're banning episodes about climate change and school funding. One 911 episode cost them $2.5 million just to bury. What's really on this list will make you question everything you thought you knew about television. In the early 1960s, something strange kept happening on American television. ABC had a show called Adventures in Paradise, which aired from 1959 to 1962. It followed a handsome schooner captain named Gardner McKay sailing across the South Pacific. One episode was quietly pulled off the air. Why? Because it showed a romance between people of different races. Back then, even though no law banned it, the network believed it would upset Southern viewers. And they weren't wrong. At that time, in 16 U.S. states, interracial marriage was still illegal. That didn't change until 1967, when the Supreme Court made its famous ruling in Loving versus Virginia. But in the early 60s, TV networks were scared. They feared losing money from angry sponsors. In fact, one leaked report said that just one controversial episode could lead to a 30% drop in Southern viewership. So they stayed quiet, avoiding race stories almost completely. Only around 5% of shows in the 1960s even touched those topics. Meanwhile, huge civil rights marches, like the one in Washington in 1963, were changing the country. But on TV, it was like none of it was happening. In the 1980s, the fear changed. Now it wasn't about race, it was about violence. ABC started banning episodes they thought were too dangerous. In 1981, they refused to air one episode of The Fall Guy, a show full of wild stunts. This episode had more than 15 risky scenes, including cars flipping and explosions. During filming, 3 crew members got hurt. ABC panicked. They started marking scripts with "Do Not Air" to avoid lawsuits and rising insurance costs. They weren't alone. Back in 1969, CBS canceled The Wild Wild West after star Robert Conrad got a serious head injury, a 6-inch skull fracture, during a fight scene. That led all networks to quietly cut back on action scenes by about 25%. By 1985, ABC had reduced violent moments in prime time by 40%. But it came at a cost. The Fall Guy lost 2 million viewers and dropped from number 25 to the 35 in the ratings. Behind the scenes, leaked papers revealed the truth. Executives were more worried about money than storytelling. Insurance premiums had gone up by 150%, and they didn't want to pay. In the 1990s, ABC started banning shows about teen sexuality. One of the most surprising cases happened in 1998, when the network pulled a Boy Meets World episode from syndication. The episode, called Promises, Promises, aired on May 1, 1998. It showed Corey and Topanga, a teen couple, talking about whether or not to have sex on prom night. They eventually decided not to, but the topic alone caused outrage. Over 500 people sent complaints to the FCC. Families began boycotting the show, and by season 7, the rerun viewership had dropped from 11.6 million to around 8.7 million. That's a 25% fall. Disney had bought ABC in 1995, and after that, the pressure to keep things family-friendly grew stronger. ABC ended up banning 12 more episodes across its TGIF lineup that same year. The move reminded people of another 90s controversy, the 1996 Ellen episode where she came out as gay. That show also lost 20% of its audience. What hurt the most about the Boy Meets World ban was that the episode didn't even promote sex. It promoted abstinence, but even that was too much. At the time, 1 in 4 high schoolers in the U.S. were dealing with the same questions, but the show was punished for trying to talk about it. Now in 2025, things have shifted again. The main reason for banning shows isn't race or violence or even sex, it's money. ABC's long-running hit Grey's Anatomy is in its 22nd season. It was renewed on April 3, 2025, and the new season starts on October 9th. But the episodes are getting more expensive. Some of the newer scripts include complicated scenes with lots of CGI, like high-tech surgeries or hospital disasters. Each episode now costs more than $5 million to make, so the network banned 3 of them to save money. This helped them cut costs by 20%. They didn't want a repeat of what happened in Season 21, when one big explosion scene ran 15% over budget and forced expensive reshoots. After the 2024 writer and actor strikes, ABC slashed drama budgets by 10%. Across the whole network, they pulled 25 experimental episodes just to stay under a $100 million overspend. In March 2025, internal memos were leaked showing that inflation had pushed up the cost of props by 30%. Big stars like Ellen Pompeo were earning $575,000 per episode, and that made everything harder to afford. Rumors say cast members like Jake Borelli and Midori Francis might leave soon, which could cause a 12% drop in ratings. Right now, Grey's Anatomy has about 3.5 million live viewers per episode. The whole industry is in trouble. After the 2025 Hollywood recession hit, 40% of new pilots were canceled before they even started filming. ABC's bans today aren't about morals, they're about survival. But sometimes, real life crashes into TV in shocking ways. On April 15, 2021, while filming The Rookie in downtown Los Angeles, real gunshots rang out near the set. The crew heard 3 loud pops, and a nearby building was hit. Police swarmed the area. It wasn't part of the script. It was real gunfire. The show's star, Nathan Fillion, and the rest of the cast had to stop shooting immediately. No one was hurt, but it shook everyone. Filming in the city had suddenly become very dangerous. Just a few months later, something even more tragic happened on a different set. On October 21, 2021, a gun misfired on the set of Rust, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. One day after that, The Rookie's showrunner Alexi Hawley sent out a memo. He banned all live gunfire on set. Before that, the show used quarter-and-half loads, real blanks, for outdoor scenes. But now, they switched to airsoft guns, using computer effects to make them look real. Hawley said, "Any risk is too much risk." The change was fast. Visual effects expert Nick Fury even said CGI looked just as good without the danger. Still, fans weren't always happy. In 2023, ABC canceled the spin-off The Rookie Feds. A small petition with 55 signatures begged the network to bring it back. But that wasn't the big outrage. In May 2025, ABC announced that The Rookie Season 8 would be delayed until mid-season 2026. That meant fans had to wait a whole year. Over 50,000 people complained on social media. Some said, "ABC, why do you hate The Rookie so much?" Others compared it to delays on Will Trent, another show pushed to the side. What made fans angry was that The Rookie had strong ratings and showed stories about police reform after 2020. They felt it was being ignored for no reason. In early 2025, something unexpected happened. ABC decided not to air an episode from Season 4 of Abbott Elementary. The reason was one short joke about how wealthy schools get caviar budgets, while underfunded schools are left fighting over scraps. It was meant to be sharp, maybe even funny, but it pointed to a very real issue. In Pennsylvania, schools spend about $16,892 per student on average. Yet rich neighborhoods still get more while poorer districts keep falling behind. Millions are missing from where they're needed most. Nearly half of American students study in underfunded districts, many with crumbling buildings and not enough teachers. Some states have even cut their education budgets by 15% since 2020. The episode was trying to highlight all that. But groups like the National Education Association said the joke didn't take the deeper racism and inequality seriously. ABC responded by pulling the script, and that decision delayed the show's production for 2 months. It also cost them over $1.2 million in reshoots. The whole thing reminded people of a 2023 lawsuit, where Pennsylvania's own Attorney General said the state was underfunding poor students by around $4 billion each year. The show's creators had tried to wake people up. But the backlash from education advocates was louder than they expected. On March 15, 2025, Quinta Brunson, the creator of the show, couldn't stay quiet. She went on Twitter and called ABC's decision cowardly. She said the real joke wasn't the line in the script. It was how schools were starving while networks were more worried about staying safe. Her tweets got over 120,000 retweets in just 2 days and sparked a huge reaction. Fans even started skipping the next episode in protest, and ratings dropped by 8%. Brunson talked about her past growing up in West Philadelphia. Her charter high school shut down because of funding problems, just like 20% of U.S. charter schools that close every year. People had already accused her show of being anti-charter back in 2023, but she explained then that her elementary school actually became a charter after she graduated. She wasn't attacking charters. She was just telling the truth. Reports even showed charter schools were pulling around $2.5 billion away from regular public schools each year. After the script ban, more than 50,000 people signed a petition asking ABC to air the episode. The pressure grew so much that ABC had to issue a public apology. It also opened up a bigger conversation in the TV world about who gets to decide what stories can be told. Brunson promised she wouldn't back down. She said they would never water down the truth just to make people more comfortable. Around the same time, ABC also pulled a Bluey episode in July 2025. It had nothing to do with school funding. This one made fun of a hardware store called Bunnings. In the episode, animated dogs tried to do wild home repairs using Bunnings-style tools. It was silly, but the company had just started selling Bluey gnomes and made over $50 million from the deal. Suddenly, the network removed the episode, saying they didn't want to break their own rule about not tying stories too closely to real businesses. But parents weren't happy. 15 Australian cities saw protests, and 200,000 people signed petitions. That episode was actually helping kids learn how to deal with jealousy, and it had over 10 million viewers every week. Many felt ABC was choosing profits over creativity. This wasn't even the first time Bluey had been edited for being too bold. In 2023, U.S. versions of the show had lines removed for so-called fat shaming. The whole thing raised questions again. Are networks too afraid to upset sponsors or speak honestly? Parents and fans said it loud and clear. Kids need creativity, not silence. That same month in March 2025, a policy memo from ABC was leaked. It revealed new rules requiring all staff to take cultural sensitivity training every year. 20 hours were now mandatory. Anyone who didn't follow the rule could be fined up to $10,000. The memo said it was about avoiding offensive content and reducing viewer complaints. ABC had already pulled some episodes of The Conners after fans said the show's jokes about addiction and poverty were too harsh. Ratings had dropped 15% for one episode in 2023 that made fun of disabilities. The company hoped the training would cut down on complaints by 40%. But many creators were upset. They felt like they were being silenced, and that these new rules were all about public image instead of real understanding. Some said networks were more afraid of losing advertisers than losing the truth. There were also rumors that Grey's Anatomy had a banned episode. but that turned out to be false. No such episode existed. However, a real one aired on March 28, 2019, called Silent All These Years. It told the story of a rape survivor named Abby and how hard it was for her to speak up. The story was inspired by Christine Blasey Ford's 2018 testimony against Brett Kavanaugh. Showrunner Krista Vernoff worked with Rain to make sure the episode was accurate. It was so powerful that calls to Rain jumped 43% within 2 days of the broadcast. The episode showed a hallway full of women silently standing with Abby as she walked into surgery. Many viewers said they cried. It had a real impact. While there was no $500,000 hush money settlement tied to any banned episode, the show's lead, Ellen Pompeo, had her own fight for fairness. In 2017, she finally signed a deal to earn $20 million a year. That came after years of being paid less than Patrick Dempsey, her male co-star. She spoke openly about it in a 2018 interview and said it wasn't just about salary. She wanted producing rights and a share of the profits, too. Her honesty during the Me Too movement gave strength to other women in Hollywood to demand better. People also thought maybe ABC had argued behind closed doors about pulling that Grey's episode. But no real notes ever leaked. Still, some saw a pattern. In 2018, ABC had canceled Roseanne just hours after Roseanne Barr tweeted something racist, comparing Valerie Jarrett to an ape. The decision came quickly, with top ABC executives saying it was the only choice. They didn't want to risk their reputation during a time when the Me Too was making every network rethink its values. Even though Roseanne later apologized, the show was gone. It cost hundreds of people their jobs, but also became a turning point. Over 2 million tweets were posted in a single day about it. Accountability became the new focus. Even though there was no proof of a hashtag like ABC cover-up trending about Grey's Anatomy, the Roseanne cancellation did create a storm online. The outrage flooded Twitter. Many people praised ABC for acting fast, while others argued about free speech. The NAACP supported the cancellation. Meanwhile, the 2019 Grey's Anatomy episode that tackled assault sparked a very different kind of response. People were thankful. Ratings climbed to 6.8 million viewers, and survivor stories began pouring in across the internet. Shonda Rhimes, who created Scandal, even stood behind ABC's decision to let the show go that deep. It showed that when networks are brave enough to air the truth, people don't always turn away. Sometimes they lean in. One of the most shocking entries was an episode from the hit show 911, which was supposed to kick off Season 8 on October 15, 2025. It showed Los Angeles flooding under 200-foot waves after a massive storm, tied directly to real climate change events like Hurricane Milton from 2024 that caused $50 billion in damage. The network quietly banned it just weeks before air, on September 20th. They said it broke their rule about staying neutral on environmental issues. But insiders said the real reason was fear. Big sponsors didn't want to be connected to what they called climate propaganda. ABC lost $2.5 million on that one episode alone, and fans ended up finding leaked versions on Reddit. Just like the 2018 earthquake storyline that shook people up, this one went even further. But ABC was too afraid to air it. Another bombshell on that list involved The Bachelor, Season 29. In July 2024, a group date was filmed where viewers said contestants of color were barely seen. The episode was supposed to air in January 2025, but never made it. 3 former contestants filed lawsuits in August 2024, saying the show had a long history of showing mostly white women, around 85% since 2002. They wanted $10 million for emotional harm. Even worse, leaked footage showed a diversity challenge that made things more awkward, with non-white contestants getting only 12% of the screen time. Protests happened right on set. ABC finally pulled the segment on December 1, 2024. That same year, pressure had been building across the country, with 50,000 people signing a petition demanding more black leads. Ratings dropped 15% after all that. In 25 seasons, only one black bachelor had ever been chosen. Then there was a Shark Tank pitch that caused more trouble than anyone expected. On February 10, 2025, ABC banned a pitch from Charles Yim, the man behind Breathometer. He first appeared in 2013 and got $1 million from all the sharks. But by 2017, the FTC revealed the device gave dangerously wrong results. People thought they were sober enough to drive, but they weren't. It led to a $5.1 million settlement. In 2025, Yim came back with an updated version using AI, claiming it was now 99% accurate. The FDA stepped in on January 5, 2025, warning that it was still unreliable. At least 12 accidents were reported because of it, including one deadly DUI crash in Texas. 15 states banned it by March. ABC didn't want to risk another lawsuit, especially after the CDC reported 42,000 alcohol-related deaths in 2024. This reminded people of other health-related bans, like the red dye ban in 2025 that affected over 9,000 food items. ABC also had problems with Dr. Odyssey, a new show that started in September 2024. In episode 14, which aired on April 10, 2025, viewers noticed something odd. A big green tree showed up in the middle of a scene that was supposed to be far out in the ocean. It was a clear mistake from filming in Southern California. The studio quickly removed it for the streaming version and added in a ship tower instead. But the damage was done. Ratings were falling. From 16.5 million viewers across all platforms, the numbers dropped hard. Rumors spread that the show wouldn't return. No one confirmed the $1.2 million reshoots, but ABC was clearly struggling to clean up behind-the-scenes messes. There were deeper privacy scandals, too. Back in 2008, UCLA Medical Center staff got caught looking at celebrities' private medical records without permission. Britney Spears, Farrah Fawcett, and Maria Shriver were among the victims. Even after warnings, 2 nurses and a technician kept snooping in April 2008. 13 employees were fired, and 6 doctors suspended. This wasn't the last time. In 2019, over 50 Chicago hospital workers got caught looking at Jussie Smollett's records. One person was fired in 2018 for doing the same with Ed Sheeran. Fame seemed to erase the rules of privacy. Game shows weren't safe either. In 1984, Michael Larson shocked everyone by winning $110,230 on Press Your Luck by memorizing the game board's patterns. He recorded 60 episodes at home just to crack the system. He avoided the losing spaces for 45 straight spins. CBS let him keep the money, but banned those episodes from being shown again. They also changed the rules and added more patterns. Sadly, Larson lost most of his winnings in scams and passed away in 1999. His story changed how game shows protect themselves forever. Not all crossovers went smoothly. ABC announced a fun episode in 2025 where Abbott Elementary would meet It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That episode, called Volunteers, aired on January 8, 2025. The Sunny Gang showed up at the school and caused chaos, as expected. Fans were excited, but behind the scenes, rumors spread about a canceled crossover with The Rookie, including a claim that ABC had lost $3 million. That part wasn't true. Still, the network had to find new ways to boost ratings without spending too much. Crossovers helped, but only if they stayed within budget. By 2025, ABC's bills were going up everywhere. Legal fees were rising fast, though exact numbers from bans weren't shared. In 2024 alone, law firm billing jumped 10%. That continued into 2025, along with salary hikes and tight hiring. ABC also paid more for alcohol-related licenses. up 3.65% in 2025 and climbing again in 2026. Every little issue, from privacy scandals to editing mistakes, made their costs grow. And all of it pushed them to make safer, less risky shows. Kim Godwin became the first Black woman to lead a major U.S. news division when she became ABC News president in 2021. But her time there was full of problems. In early 2024, shows like Good Morning America lost 15% of their viewers. Disney got worried about ad revenue and began stepping in. In February 2024, they put Deborah O'Connell over her, basically taking away her power. On May 5, 2024, Godwin stepped down. She said she was proud, but her final memo hinted at deeper problems. Advertisers wanted safer stories, fewer risks, and more profits. Bold journalism was pushed aside. Employees didn't stay quiet. On Reddit and LinkedIn, anonymous staffers compared what was happening at ABC to what happened at Australia's ABC in 2018. There, government pressure led to journalist firings and resignations. In the US, employees said they were told to soften stories or skip sensitive topics completely. Some even blamed Whoopi Goldberg's suspension from The View in 2022 as an example of how things were being handled unfairly. One veteran employee even said that Disney only kept Godwin in place for so long to avoid backlash about firing a Black woman. Whistleblowers risked everything just to speak out. The money pressures weren't just at ABC. In 2024, over 60 shows were canceled across all networks. Many of them were queer-themed, even though they had great reviews. Rotten Tomatoes showed they averaged 83% critic scores, but 53% were still dropped, more than double the rate of other shows. Netflix canceled Dead Boy Detectives after just one season. ABC followed the trend, making safer, cheaper choices to keep advertisers happy. Kim Godwin's demotion in February 2024, after Good Morning America lost viewers, was just one sign of this new strategy. One of the most famous lessons came from CBS in 2004. On September 8th that year, 60 Minutes aired what they said were military documents about George W. Bush. But within days, bloggers proved the typewriter font used didn't even exist in 1973. CBS admitted the mistake on September 20th and fired producer Mary Mapes. Anchor Dan Rather apologized, and several top staff were pushed out by January 2005. This scandal forced all networks, including ABC, to adopt tougher fact-checking rules. No one wanted to repeat that disaster. And now, looking ahead to 2026, things may get even tighter. In 2023, Pakistan blocked Wikipedia for sacrilegious content, cutting off 220 million people for several days. A UK court ruling in 2025 hinted that Wikipedia might be forced to require ID checks for editing by 2027. That could lead to a 25% jump in global content bans. For ABC, this means even more pressure. After Kim Godwin left in May 2024, Disney made it clear: stay profitable, stay safe, and avoid controversy. The fear of losing advertisers has already silenced bold stories. By 2026, that silence might grow even louder.